costumes to the concerts and carrying on as the old Guy Fawkes Day. Well, I guess it wouldn't be in this country.
And another big hit film that you've worked on, scored recently, was Harry Potter, which is different from the sort of epic, grand visions of the of the Star Wars oeuvre. And I just wondered, what were the challenges there? Was it, a smaller film in terms of the sort of the sort of the subject area was a small school and small children, and you're known for sort of big sounds, if you like. What were the challenges of Harry Potter?
Well, to go from film to film is a challenging thing for a composer. You would do maybe a film like Star Wars, which is a big, large-scale musical production. But then, for me, I have loved the opportunity to do Schindler's List, which is quieter and more ruminative and thoughtful and serious subject. Approaching Harry Potter, that's yet another kind of texture, although it's full orchestra, unlike a subject like Schindler's List, which was not. It isn't quite as theatrical or overt as Star Wars would be, for example. And what I think I would say about Harry Potter is that what I tried to accomplish there was a sense of magic, really. The owl flying Hedwig, and the sense of luft that he's effortlessly floating on air, and children walking through walls, and all this kind of magical sleight of hand that we see. The orchestra's role is not dissimilar to Star Wars because it's a full orchestra, but it's more diaphanous and colorful and magical and not rooted in the ground quite so much. It's all a bit aloft in its texture and tempo.
I mean, in terms of the process of scoring a film, I mean, do you, for example, visit the set at all, or do you just wait for the post-production?
Well, people ask if I visit the set, and I occasionally do, but frankly, I prefer not to. The best approach for me is to not have a preconception, not even read the script if I possibly can avoid that, so that if I'm working with Spielberg, for example, he will say, "Come and look at the film," and I have no idea what I'm going to see, not really. And it's the best way to get an objective impression of where the film is, maybe where it slows down, maybe where I can help it, where that's a real surprise for the audience. It wouldn't be a surprise if I read the script because I know it's coming. So the sense of the dramatic events that are meant to shock you, surprise you, lull you to sleep, and then surprise you again, are felt much more acutely if you watch it at least once and without any kind of prejudice or preconception in your mind. So that's my favorite way of working, unless there's a specific reason to watch it ahead of that. That's been my preference.
You mentioned Spielberg, and the two of you have had a very intertwined relationship. I mean, I read that you've worked on virtually every one of his movies, bar one, something like that. What's the basis of that relationship? Are you good friends, for example?
Well, we are very good friends. I met Steven Spielberg in 1972 and began to work on Sugarland Express. So that's 30 years. It's amazing. And in a collaborative medium like film or theater, people don't get along that well to work that long together. But I think it bespeaks something certainly about him. He's a marvelous person I always say that it's certainly the art of his music that has made his audiences so react to it. But even more than that, I think it's his humanity. He's a marvelous man. And we have become very close friends. We're very comfortable working with each other. We aesthetically have had great success. We seem to agree about specifics on music from point of view of taste, which one doesn't always do with directors. So it's been very simpatico, very comfortable. And the other thing I guess should be said is that Steven is also a very loyal person. Many of the people that work with him and for him have been with him very nearly as long as I have been. So he's comfortable with people he trusts and keeps them around him and with a sort of family feeling. Our offices are very close together. We are, as you pointed out, very close friends.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've had a spectacular career and a career that has taken you beyond film. I know you're a conductor in your own right as well. And looking back, and I know you won several Oscars and a room full of, you also have a room in your house just dedicated to all the gongs and awards. Yeah. But what's been your proudest moment? would you say, of your distinguished career?
I think a few films stand out for me as being moments that I'm very proud about. I would just say at the outset that my own personality is such that everything I've done I look at and I can appreciate this, think that's good, that's quite good, I could have done better here. And I think that is perhaps what keeps me as interested as I am, because I always feel that I can tinker with things and improve them and improve myself. But I have had, having said that, I mean, some opportunities. Close Encounters of a Third Kind is a film we did together 20 or so years ago. That's a special piece for me. I'm not sure why exactly. I think it ended up to being more than just cellophane and a projector. It's a live, animate thing that a great film can seem to be. Another certainly has to be Schindler's List, which I think was something of a miracle of a film, because it didn't even need to be as successful as it was, but every scene, every cut, every actor, important actor, small actor, everyone seemed to have just the right attitude, and it seems to have a great truth at the core of it somehow. People who remember the experience remember it as being that's accurate to what they remember. I think that Born on the 4th of July, which is a film that I did with Oliver Stone, is a particularly great film, I think. I think it's one of Stone's, along with Platoon, one of his greatest films. A film I did years ago for Robert Altman Images. It was done here in England, I remember very well. So short answer is I've been very fortunate, blessed, and having had great opportunities through the years, and many of them, many more than the ones I've had time to mention here today, stick with me as being kind of high points.
Mm-hmm. And challenges you still hope to take up?
Well, every film is a great challenge. Each one that sets itself out is you always feel that it's like all of us. If you have to write an essay or a piece for your newspaper, you wonder if it will be as good as the one you did last week, and can I be up to my game again? Also, I've just written a cello concerto for Yo-Yo Ma, which we've recorded and performed together. I'd like to do some more writing for him, also for Itzhak Perlman, with whom I've had a close working relationship. I'd like to do a choral piece for orchestra that's apart from film. I'll have time and energy to do that. So there are musical things and musical projects that I'd like to pursue, and musical relationships like the ones I've mentioned that I'd like to continue to develop even further. So there's a lot that I would like to do, and look forward to the fullness of opportunity to do that.
Well, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give sort of someone, a young person who has ambitions to do what you've done, to score for movies?
Well, I think we can.
Yeah,
advice for young people is very difficult. You know, the old saying about good advice, the best thing to do with good advice is to pass it on to someone else. We've all heard that. But having with that disclaimer, I would say to young people that hard work is important, but it isn't enough. Sustained hard work is what we have to expect. That it isn't the third or fourth failure that will cause us to stop. It's maybe the 50th failure. And so persistence and sustained effort, I think, is certainly the thing that is needed in all things that we do. In my own case, the best opportunities I received really emerged after the age of 40. And I was pushing on very slowly and working, and everything that I learned and tried to acquire in terms of experience and knowledge stood me in the best stead when the best opportunities began to emerge. But there were very many, for me, frustrating early years, just as they are for most of us. Occasionally we get very lucky and have an instant success, a wunderkind and kind of arrival. But we can't count on that. I think it's work, and more work, and just when you think you finally failed for the last time, then make the next big step.
Okay, well, with that, okay. I've still got a